It's been a fun and busy time in the NTT IndyCar Series with 3 race weekends in succession as we say welcome to the Genesys 300. This is round 3. It's also the beginning of a double-header weekend here at Texas Motor Speedway, where we are being quite watchful on the weather, and for good reason. There's been a lot of rain lately in the state of Texas. Temperature's nice, but we are watching the radar very carefully and really hoping that we will get this 212-lap race in here this evening. Hi folks, Lee Diffie, great to be with you along with Paul Tracy and Townsend Bell. So we're set to go with this double-header weekend, and it's been a really busy time. Last weekend's winner, Colton Herter on the streets of St. Petersburg, was a big winner, Paul, when we take a look at the championship points, because he vaulted himself really high up.
He certainly did. That win really moved him up into the top 4, but you look further back here, guys like Joseph Newgarden and Patricia Ward are looking for good nights tonight to try to get themselves up in the championship as well.
Things have really been mixing up, but not so much for Alexander Rossi. You look all the way down to 16th in points. Remember, that 27 car has battled it out for the championship the last couple of years. He finds himself in a big hole to start the season, so he'll be looking to make big moves, and you'll probably see some of these names like Ryan Hunter-Reay and others, Felix Rosenqvist, that we've expected to be further up in the championship to try to make something happen early.
Tonight marks the 33rd IndyCar race here at Texas Motor Speedway, and as Paul and Townsend know all too well from first-hand experience, this place creates drama, exciting racing, and at times some big crashes. Townsend, how so?
Well, the speeds are so high and the action is so tight wheel to wheel, whether it's in pit lane like Takuma Sato there, or rookies trying to tame the mile-and-a-half oval, the high banks here. There's Graham Rahal several years ago getting into the wall. So the stakes are high. The consequences can be huge if you get it wrong, and that means tensions are always maxed out here at Texas.
There's no small accidents at the Texas Motor Speedway, and this is a doubleheader, guys. If you have a problem tonight and wreck hard, you're really going to put your team under a lot of stress to be ready for tomorrow's race.
Remember I said we're watching the weather very carefully? Well, for good reason, because today has already been impacted by weather. Practice was 2 hours late and qualifying was cancelled. That's why we draw your attention to the Genesys starting grid, and those positions are set by championship points. So the season opening winning Alex Palou, Townsend, starts on the pole position.
Alex Palou's right there, but right behind him, Scott Dixon, Palou's teammate, in another Chip Ganassi car. And Dixon last year was so dominant in this race. I really feel like Chip Ganassi Racing is the team to beat tonight. And for many of these drivers, they're looking at Dixon going after his 7th championship, thinking, we've got to stop this guy early.
Got a bunch of really fast guys in the middle of the pack here. Scott McLaughlin in his first IndyCar oval race, but look at Rossi back here. And guys like Pato O'Ward and Rahal, they're going to want to get to the front as soon as possible because they really need a good night tonight.
Tony Kanaan starting on that 12th and final row, as the boys mentioned, was the quickest in practice at 220 miles per hour. There's TK. He is ready to go. Let's find out what's happening on the ground. We kick things off with Dave Burns. Dave-O?
Well, Lee, for 22 years, TK thrilled IndyCar fans with wins and, more importantly, a solid connection to a humble superstar that they just love. Now, he thought his career was over at the end of last year and he would retire, but a chance to race with Jimmy Johnson, ovals to complement Johnson's road and street courses came about, and he jumped at it. It starts here tonight at Texas. But now that he's here, can he win? Well, history says yes. Back in 2004, it was indeed Tony Kanaan who went to victory lane here at Texas Motor Speedway. And Marty, even though he starts in the back tonight, he doesn't plan to stay there for long, and there's a chance we could see the full turnaround for TK coming back to the series.
Well, Dave, what a terrific race it was last week at St. Pete for this guy, Jack Harvey. Started second, and he wound up finishing 4th in the race. And because of their outstanding start to the 2021 season, they are 6th in the championship standings. And when qualifying rained out earlier today, that means they get to start 6th today. But Jack told me earlier, he said, listen, it is only my 8th oval race ever. It's certainly something I'm more comfortable with, but I am so glad this race is coming before the Indy 500 in a couple of weeks. It gets me more comfortable to get ready for the month of May in Indianapolis, Lee.
It's the big build-up. Yes, we're already racing IndyCars in the month of May, but we're not at Indianapolis, but we'll be there before we know it. It's all about Texas Motor Speedway tonight and tomorrow afternoon for the season's first oval race and the season's first double header as well. A lot to look forward to here tonight, but right now we're going to get things rolling with the command. Let's go trackside.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshal, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Genesys, Tony and Ethan Bates.
On behalf of everyone at Genesys, drivers, start your engines!
We can talk about the excitement, but it kind of steps up to another level when you hear the engines fired, which is going to be good. 212 laps here tonight. That man there, Scott Dixon, he won here a year ago. He is a multi-time winner and performs exceptionally well at this track. His first win came in a championship year. That's 2008. And that set things on a roll. His results here have been incredible. He had to wait quite a while for that second one in 2015, but yeah, he's got the cowboy hat and the six shooters many times. He just knows how to get around here. And then last year with that very clinical move on Joseph Newgarden, and that was en route to his fourth victory here. Well, as you may remember, last weekend, Townsend was able to fire up Joseph Newgarden and connect with the two-time champ when we were coming to green at St. Petersburg. We're going to try again here with the six-time champion. Take it away, T-Bell.
See if we can get him. Hey, Scott, it's Townsend up here in the NBC booth. You got me?
Yeah, 10-4.
Hey, bud. 22nd race here in Texas in IndyCars. Not one of your favorites when you first came here, but it's sure become one of them, I would expect, after 4 wins. What is it that you really like about racing here now?
I think what definitely changed is once you make it to Victory Circle, this place is crazy, you know, with all the fire, shooting the guns, wearing the cowboy hat, you know, it feels so surreal. So I think once the style of racing changed for us, and it became more of a bit of a driver's track too. So I don't know, I love this place. It's been very good, you know, very good results for us and our team here. So hopefully we can continue that.
Scott, last year, so dominant. The car just looked to be better than everybody else on track in terms of the way it managed the tires over a stint. Do you think you've got a similar weapon to fight with tonight?
Definitely hard to know, you know, very limited practice, and then they made the cars a little easier to drive this year, I think, with the added downforce, and then, you know, just temperature conditions. Firestone brought a grippier tire. So we'll have to see how the deck goes, but I hope that's the case ultimately, that it becomes very difficult towards the end of the stint, but we'll have to see how that plays out.
10-4, bud. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Scott Dixon will most certainly be in the mix when the green flag falls here at Texas Motor Speedway. Right now, let's take a closer look at this 1.5 mile oval track with the Honda track preview.
Just see Takuma Sato here, thanks to Honda on the back straightaway. Only straight part really on this track is the back straight. The front straight's really just 2 kink corners, Paul, with the tri-oval. You come through turn 3 and 4 here, 24 degrees of banking. That's a lot. Really gives you a lot of grip. And then coming through here, this is anything but a straight line.
Yeah, you're in the corners at this track much longer than you are on the straightaway. So tire degradation is going to be really bad tonight, I feel, for the first half to 3/4 of the race. These cars in practice were wearing out the back tires, and they were starting to get vibration. So watch for these guys to pit early and stay on fresh tires.
All right, the field start to pack up. We are coming to green. The 10 NTT data Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing is Alex Palou, that bright blue car there. Alex was a rookie here last year, and he got taken out while exiting the pits by fellow rookie Rinus VeeKay. Now he leads this star-studded field to green as the championship leader. He won at Barber, and with qualifying being cancelled earlier today due to weather, he leads the field to green based on championship points. Texas Motor Speedway, the Genesys 300. Palou sees the green first.
Really good start for the front row there. Will Power, I was surprised Townsend didn't try to jump that and get to the front, but Dixon right there, he's going to want to seize control of this and control the pace.
Some brave drivers further back. That black number 14 of Bourdais is Scott Dixon looks to the outside. I say brave because that darker section is that PJ1 traction compound from NASCAR. It actually does not have much grip for the IndyCars here tonight, so it's pretty dicey to hang wide, too wide in early laps.
Newgarden was already up in there. He's right there flirting being on the edge of it. Turn 3 and 4, he had half his car up there feeling it out, so he was the first guy to get up in that PJ1.
That's that yellow and white Expel Chevrolet. He's going wheel to wheel with Pato O'Ward. A little further back, Felix Rosenquist working his way through. There's Newgarden. Oh, up front, this is for the lead, the teammates. Dixon around the outside of Alex Palou.
Teammate outside.
Perfect
Still there,
maneuver,
still there,
timed that
clear.
perfect. So this is exactly, Townsend, where Scott Dixon likes to be at the Texas Motor Speedway. That's sitting out front and controlling the pace and getting the fuel mileage.
I'm just laughing because on the pace lap, Scott said, oh, they made it pretty easy to drive. Well, right now, Scott's making it look easy to drive, but only for him as Dixon to the front and pulling away.
This is going to school, though, for Palou. He needs to sit here and just watch his teammate. This guy in front of him, he's the master around here, and this guy's the rookie, so he just needs to watch this and just play along. Oh, look at this in the back here. Colton Herta making a move on Will Power, tries him on the outside, but couldn't get it done.
On board with last weekend's winner, Colton Herta, the
Still good,
Gamebridge
3 out
Honda.
back, all good.
That was a pretty hard swerve over from Power. I think he saw Colton getting a run, and he just immediately swerved for the inside.
As long as you get there before the trailing driver makes their move, you're within the letter of the law. You cannot react, but you can proactively make your move.
This youngster, along with the bonus championship point for pole last weekend, jumped up 18 positions with that victory last weekend in the championship. He described his win last weekend and those really humid conditions in Florida as a nightmare that would never end. But it ended when he saw the checkered flag. So it's Ganassi, Chip Ganassi racing 1 and 2 with Scott Dixon, Alex Palou. Team Penske's lead car, Will Power in 3rd. Then Colton Herta. Jack Harvey maintains 5th with a really solid start for Meyer Shank Racing.
Two Ganassi cars just starting to edge away. They're working together here, kind of in the draft here. Palou
A little better 1-2, you're a little better 3-4, no pressure.
So these guys are just kind of working together and trying to edge away from Power. Key here, Townsend, is how long these tires are going to last. We've heard guys talking about vibration after 25 laps, and that's just tire wear. The tire's starting to wear out and get down to the cords.
And I think Dixon knew that, Paul, and that's why he wanted to get to the front early where he could have clean air and then just manage pace and manage tires from the front, knowing that he's got his younger but very fast teammate that needs to learn. Like you pointed out, Will Power back there in 3rd with Team Penske, Colton Herta with Andretti in 4th. So 3 different teams in the top 4, but right now Ganassi's got it on lockdown up front.
Hey, guess who's made up 3 positions in these early laps from the last row of the grid? It was the fastest man from practice, Tony Kanaan, in that Bryant Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing. He's taken over from Jimmy Johnson in the 48 for the ovals. And TK, we spoke to him, Paul Townsend and myself spoke to him right before the race. He's loving being back in an IndyCar, loving being quick. Last weekend he was racing Brazilian stock cars. That didn't end so well, he had a big crash, but never mind. He's thrilled, he's got a smile from ear to ear. This car, he said, just feels so good, and he was so fast at 220 miles an hour in practice. TK's going to be a factor tonight.
Right there, drafting behind Ryan Hunter-Reay, another guy who's vastly experienced on these types of tracks. He's not going to be an easy guy for him to pick off and get by. But right now, Dave, Tony's doing a real nice job on the rev limiter hard on the front straightaway.
And a lot of folks wondered if they were going to see one of those famous TK starts, you know, where he passes like 8 cars on the first lap. Lee mentioned he's gotten by 3, perhaps 4, 3 right now. And he told me before the race, I cannot take that chance. I can't be too aggressive on the start. I need to be a little bit conservative, save my car throughout the race, and see what I have left there at the end. So maybe later in the race, Marty, you'll get a TK restart.
And Dave, you saw after 2 laps, Alex Palou, the championship leader, play very nice and let his veteran teammate Scott Dixon by. I think very much by design for Chip Ganassi Racing, because who would you want to have out front more than Scott Dixon? PTU nicknamed him Mr. Texas. He has 4 wins here, and you guys mentioned it. Alex Palou can learn so much here by following his teammate who knows his way around Texas better than anyone, Scott Dixon.
Absolutely. I think these 2 guys at the front, Townsend, have these cars geared exactly right, but I just noticed something on Tony's car. Let's go on board, look at 6th gear. Down the front straightaway, Townsend, he's in 5th. He's completely out of gear in the draft back here. Listen to this motor when he hits 6th.
You're lap 12, you're running a good pace. Some of the guys in front are going a lot slower.
See, he was all over the limiter there at the end of the straightaway.
Somebody up in front just got high up into the black section of the track. That's going to allow Ryan Hunter-Reay to get a run. Rosenquist getting high and out of the groove and had to check up.
This is a guy who almost won the race last year. He was within half a second of his then teammate Scott Dixon until he went around the outside of James Hinchcliffe and lost it up in that black and into the wall. It was all over as quick as that in the final stint for Felix Rosenquist. It was a real shame, and he's got his hands full here.
And Lee, he just made a big adjustment, was told by engineering to make an adjustment on that 7 car. 3 on the front roll and 2 on the rear weight jacker. So I think that's a pretty big adjustment right now, Townsend.
Yeah, they're just coaching Rosenquist through, still learning oval racing, and also learning this new Aero McLaren SP team. And this is a great example, Paul, as we look at the replay here from Rosenquist onboard of what happens when you try a little too hard in traffic to make a gain. You get high, you're up in that darker section. Yeah. And let's listen here.
Copy that. Let's go gray 3 here. Gray 3.
Just understeer, and it pushed up into that PJ1. He just had to get out of the throttle. Now he's got Tony Kanaan on the back of him, but Tony Kanaan is out of gear on the straightaway, so it's going to be really tough for Tony to complete the pass at the end of the straightaway when it's riding the limiter into turn 1.
For the drivers who have experimented a little bit or accidentally gone up into that black zone, it is very, very dirty, dusty, sandy. But up front, it's really clean if you're Scott Dixon. Riding along with the Auto Nation onboard view with Ryan Hunter-Reay. Ryan at the moment runs in 18th position in the DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport.
That's 25 complete.
Just taking a look here, Diff. There's weather circling just south of Fort Worth, but it looks to be a little bit to the west. But that could come, you know, if we get past half distance, it could be a total crapshoot in terms of where these cars are in their pit cycle. So we'll keep an eye on that, let you know if the big green monster gets any closer.
The point that Townsend's making, PT, as you well know, is if the weather is severe enough that we can't race in the, of course, IndyCar doesn't race in the rain on ovals. Lap 106 will deem halfway, and that's good enough for the race to be declared.
Well, I'll tell you what, then these guys in the middle of the field here, like Rossi and Rahal and Newgarden, they better get on the bike and get moving. If the rain's coming, they need to get themselves to the front or get off strategy to get themselves to the front, Dave.
And Paul, that may be one reason why you saw Power defending so hard on Colton Herta, right? He's running third, doesn't want to get up any positions in case he has a shot at the front around the halfway point. As for practicing in 16th position, I checked with the team and they were kind of confused as to what was going on during practice. A lot of different things happening. Will didn't seem too alarmed about it. The team didn't seem too alarmed about it. They said, let's see how things play out. But to be sure, practicing 16th was not their ideal situation, Marty.
Dave, this afternoon's race should be an easy 3-stopper. To do that, you need to go to about lap 60 on a run. But already we've heard Simon Pagenaud among the many teams saying that they are having a vibration. Pagenaud saying his is coming from the left front, and that was about 20 laps into the run. So you got to kind of limp it for the next 40 laps because the strategist really wants you to get to lap 60. So Townsend, how do you do that from behind the wheel when your car has a little bit too much understeer? You got to take care of those fire zones. You got to make them last longer than you would like, but they want you to go to lap 60 on this first stint.
Now the only way to deal with it is just to deal with it and hang on and make it work. It's not fun. It doesn't feel good. And for Simon Pagenaud, he's a driver that likes everything pretty well in alignment to be just right. So I think it's a harder challenge maybe for Pagenaud than some of the other drivers that are used to just kind of sucking it up a little more, like Newgarden and Rahal, some of those guys.
We hear a lot about tire vibration here, and especially at Indianapolis, and what causes that is just the wear of the tire doesn't wear evenly. You run a lot of toe out in the front of these cars to make them turn through the ovals. There's a lot of negative and positive camber, and what happens is the inside tire starts to drag on the track, so it doesn't wear completely even, and then it just goes out of round a little bit, and then it goes almost like an egg shape, and then you get a vibration, and it just continues to get worse and worse and worse through the run.
Tony Kanaan made up 3 positions nice and early, but then he's plateaued. He's staying right there where he was in those first couple of laps in the Bryant Honda. Let's have a listen to some recent radio from the 2004 winner of this event.
Go out of emergency mode and see if it shifts. Go out. It takes forever to downshift. Tony, you're going to need to just use 4th and 5th for a little bit.
So he's definitely got something going on with the gearing and the gears. It says it's not downshifting well in the corners, so they're wanting him to stay in 4th and 5th. But you listen to this, he'll be on the limiter. Hear the limiter crackle? So it's going to make it really hard for him, Townsend, to pass anybody if you're riding on the rev limiter.
Well, especially if they don't want him to get out of 5th gear and take advantage of 6th gear, which of course is taller. Let's listen again. Near those corner speeds drop lower and lower as the tire wear goes on and on. Marty, only 35 laps in. They've got a ways to go to make it on just 3 stops. What are you hearing from pit lane?
Well, and this is something with the gearing issue that Scott Dixon noticed in practice earlier this afternoon. In fact, when I was walking and talking with Scott Dixon, he was headed down to talk to Tony Kanaan because he heard they had the same issue. Dixon's team changed the gear for their car. They changed the gear in his car. I'm not sure if the 48 did, but Dixon did, and clearly it's working for him. And you can see that with the Firestone telemetry in the corners, how much slower Kanaan is having to slow the car down.
I can also see as well, like in 1 and 2, he's got an understeer, Townsend, from the entry.
Going to 6. Try going to 6.
He's got an understeer from entry to middle, and then it loosens up on the exit. Look at here, it doesn't want to turn. He's out of the throttle, and then as he comes off the banking here, it starts getting pretty free in the back.
It doesn't downshift.
Yeah, he's got a downshift
You're gonna
issue.
have to wait and delay the downshift.
Just tell him to wait a little longer into the corner until the revs drop. Let's go on board with Joseph Newgarden. I'm a little curious to pick up on what Simon Pagenaud was complaining about that Marty picked up. Just looking at this left front, Paul, you'll notice pretty heavy wear there with Newgarden's car, teammate to Pagenaud. I noticed that also on Kanaan's car. That's where the excessive camber can really start wearing in. And you see this light colored shade. I'm not sure if that's cording or just that part of the tire isn't on the ground as much.
Yeah, hear the big lift going into the corner. So he's saving a little bit of fuel, but look at how calm the steering wheel is compared to Tony's car. When you watch it go through the corner, the hands are very quiet. There's not a lot of back and forth going on, but listen here down the front straight. Listen to him breathe it down the front.
It was the turnaround drive that he needed last weekend. Joseph Newgarden rebounding from that lap 1 crash at the season opener to chase Colton Herta home in 2nd. Newgarden, a winner here as well, sits in 11th at the moment. Back to Texas Motor Speedway in just a moment. And Genesys is behind this race. The Genesys 300. Welcome back. Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, Dave Burns and Marty Snyder. You're looking here at Scott Dixon, now 48 laps into this 212 lap event. He has caught the traffic at the back. He's already caught Dalton Kellett, and the Canadian has gone a lap down. Now he's working on the Gallagher Chevrolet of Connor Daly. Connor finished 6th here last year, but because of championship points, no qualifying today, the 59 car was forced to start back on the last row of the grid, so it's been a difficult start already for Connor, and now he's got the race leader and 6-time champ breathing down him. Dave?
Takuma Sato started 12th, and he is now 9th. You remember his motto, no attack, no chance. But attacking here at Texas last year and qualifying cost him a chance at even racing. So today, a much more measured approach, but still the same Taku trying to go to the front, and so far doing a fine job in the 30 car, Marty.
Dave, closing in on the first set of stops, should be about 10 to 15 laps, and not the progress we expected for Alexander Rossi, who started 16th and is just up to 14th, and he's been known in the past to provide us some spectacular highlights here at Texas. He told me, I don't think in 1 and 2 I can use that upper group, and in 3 and 4 I can. So far, he has not been able to do that. He is too free through 1 and 2, and he has too much push in 3 and 4. So how do you fix that, Paul, when the car's handling completely different on these different ends of the racetrack?
I'll tell you how you fix it. You stick on some new tires, and then automatically it handles a lot better. But here's the issue: is the thing that's going to matter right now, Townsend, until we get down towards the end of the race, is how fast you are getting on and off pit road. That's where you're really going to make up some time. I feel you can't get it done on track right now, but in the pit lane is where it's going to count.
And that's where Graham Rahal is in the Fleet Costin Care Honda. Marty, take it away.
The first taker of pit stops here at lap 53, Graham Rahal, who reported a vibration on lap 15 and was doing his best to manage that vibration. We're going to look at these Firestones when they come off, but Graham Rahal, the first of those to pit. Now, these new Firestones will be much quicker. We'll see if that draws other teams down pit road.
Now you're going to see the difference of new tires versus old tires as Scott Dixon continues to work his way through the traffic here. He's right on the back of Connor Daly, but look at his teammate right there wiggling into the corner.
Both Dixon and Alex Palou running in second there with big wiggles as they checked up into turn 2, and now they've got Hinchcliffe checking up behind his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay in that yellow DHL car. So things are starting to get pretty interesting here as everybody's going to come to pit lane pretty soon.
Here we go. Dixon's going to work on Daly here. Outside into turn 1. It's not going to work.
Connor Daly fighting to stay on the lead lap. He wants to stay on the lead lap. It's going to be critical to get through the first pit stop, but he's working his way through the traffic here. Cars are peeling off now to the pit lane. Connor Daly, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and there goes Dixon by James Hinchcliffe.
That's a huge break for Dixon Diff to get past Hinchcliffe. Now Palou's trapped behind Hinch.
So Ed Carpenter in the 20. He's headed to pit road, and so too is Simon Pagenaud, Marty.
Here he is, and you see that wing turn for Simon Pagenaud as well. Kind of seeing all those guys who talked about a vibration early in the run. They're the ones who are coming now, lap 55, Dave.
And early on, Will Power said, I need a little better vision, a tear-off coming off of the aero screen on the 12 car, Marty.
We're going to caution Sebastian Bourdais in the Rocket Chevrolet is out for AJ Foyt Racing.
And I'll tell you what, that is no good for these guys that have pitted under green, and Scott Dixon stays out and will have at least gained a lap or more on some of these guys that were in the pit lane.
I believe that happened for Bourdais, maybe trying to get to the pits. I wonder if he was down on the apron or up on the racetrack when that happened. You can see Bourdais moving in the cockpit. Rear wing and attenuator is gone. Steering wheel comes off. Right front is sheared off. The upright sheared off. The wishbone on the right front. You can just see the wishbone there hanging.
She's shaking his head, so he's probably upset with himself or something that happened, but he could have been going, like you said, for the pits and lost it on the pit lane. And here we go. We're going to get a look at it. Townsend, break it down.
Oh,
he got hit. Newgarden got hit by Newgarden. Oh, that's a hard hit, too.
Terrible angle.
That's a hard hit square on the gearbox, and that hurts when you back it into the wall straight on the gearbox. It'll literally knock the wind out of you.
Oh, boy. Here is an onboard view from Joseph Newgarden's Expel Chevrolet. Have a listen.
Get this lap here. Get this lap.
Gave him the horn, Townsend.
Well, but Newgarden was rolling on the gas,
Stay out,
and then just got surprised. I think Bourdais had to check up a little bit. It just caught out Newgarden, and whammo, that is a huge rear impact square on the gearbox, and I promise you, Bourdais felt every bit of that through the cockpit as team owner AJ Foyt looks on.
That won't make him very happy in his home state race. Supertex.
It had been such a wonderful start to the season too from Sebastian Bourdais. For AJ Foyt Racing, for where Sebastian was in the championship, that was the best that they'd been in a long time, some 15 years, to be as high as they were thanks to this guy. Unfortunately, part one of this doubleheader is over for the four-time series champion. An unfortunate incident between Joseph Newgarden and Sebastian Bourdais leaves Bourdais out of the race. This is how it went down. That was the soft part of it. The hard part was coming, unfortunately for Seb. Back at a slower pace here at Texas Motor Speedway. First caution of today's Genesys 300. An accident between Joseph Newgarden and Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais was running 6th in the race. Of course, that's where he started due to his championship position after the opening 2 rounds. Unfortunately, heavy damage to the Rocket Chevrolet, and he is out of this race. So we just cruise along with Alex Palou, the championship leader. He started on the pole position, lost the race lead relatively early to his teammate Scott Dixon, and that's been unchanged to date. So the cleanup continues. There's been some reorganization of driver positions from race control. And we still have, what do we have, fellas? We've got 14 cars that are yet to pit, but pit lane is ready.
It's going to be a busy pit lane. This is when mistakes can happen. It's going to be busy, tight getting in and out, easy to make a mistake, slide through your box, a little bit of nerves, Townsend on the first stop.
Yeah, and you've got tires that are well worn out for those cars that haven't pitted in the top 10, and they've cooled off now. So low grip, low temperature after several laps under yellow makes it dicey when they come to the box.
It's always great to eavesdrop on what's happening between spotter and driver or strategist and driver. Let's have a listen to some recent Will Power radio.
All right, Will. So just so you know what the score is here, we couldn't have, even if we would have won another lap further, we'd have probably run out of fuel by now. Copy.
So voice of Ron Rzuski, his strategist, just explaining, not necessarily justifying, just explaining why they pitted when they did.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that if Power would have run out of fuel by now, what does that mean for everybody else that hasn't pitted yet?
Right.
Who's been run at the front? I mean, guys like Scott Dixon that have been burning fuel, pushing clean air, leading the whole time. So they've got to be tight on gas.
And they've also done about 5 or 6 laps under yellow and still have fuel. So the fuel burn on that Chevy, for whatever reason, not as good as the Hondas that are sitting out front and Scott Dixon right now.
They've got to open the pits, man. Yeah, they're reorganizing the entire field. They're certainly showing
That's what Dixon's worried about. That was Scott Dixon's radio, and you can hear, I've known him a long
We're
time.
okay at the moment.
Yeah, they're asking that question right now. Dixon said, are we going to be okay on fuel here? I'm getting a little bit worried. And you heard Mike Hull say, we're okay for now.
That's about as worried as you'll ever hear Scott Dixon. That's a little anxiety from the 9 driver. He knows that they're tight. You get a readout on the steering wheel that tells you exactly.
We're open, Scott. We'll pit on this lap. Remember, your tires have cooled off a ton here.
So that
Pit
means,
off 4.
that means be careful in the braking to get down to the pit speed limit. We've seen guys coming in off the racetrack, really easy to lock up and slide through your pit box.
You see Dixon hustle it just to the line to try to get a little bit of an advantage as Palou has a gap now, Marty, to Scott Dixon, his teammate.
Yeah, we've seen that happen here at the pass at the first stop at Texas Motor Speedway. Scott Dixon said once he caught the lap traffic, he said the car got way big understeer with it, but he said don't make any changes yet. I think I can adjust with my tools. Top of your screen, Alex Palou. They kept preaching patience to that young driver, and look at that blend there with Jack Harvey as he was pulling in his pits. Harvey doing a fantastic job. A little too much understeer. You can see Dixon easily wins the race off pit road.
Now, for Newgarden, guys, I would expect that there could be a contact penalty for running into the back of Bourdais and spinning him out. He might get a penalty for that.
Yeah, we're waiting here. We haven't heard that it's being under consideration or being monitored, but we will let you know when we come back as we'll pack back up and ready to go racing. So we are still under caution here in Texas. The reason why Sebastian Bourdais and Joseph Newgarden came together, Bourdais is out of the race. Dave has more.
Yep, and I'm at the infield care center, Lee. Sebastian's car destroyed. You walked out. You okay? And what in the world happened?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just a really tough break for the Rocket number 14 Chevrolet because it's we really struggled in practice when we came here a few weeks ago and really struggled bad this afternoon. And yeah, the engineers did a great job. The car was actually really racy and pretty darn good. And I don't know, man. It's clearly Colton was wanting to pit that lap, so were we, and then he just slows down, and Joseph just runs into the back of us for no reason, really, and takes us out. And I don't know, man. It's such a shame, like just a missed opportunity.
What's the responsibility there? Just a chain reaction, or people not paying attention? What?
I mean, I can't talk for Joseph, but I mean, obviously, he misjudged it. I mean, he just ran into the back of our car, so I mean, you know, it's. Colton was checking up really, really bad. We're in third gear, low RPM, where usually you're at that stage in the stint, mid-range in fourth gear. So clearly he was really wanting to slow down very badly to, you know, stay tight and not let me get inside of him so he could pit. But still, it's very strange. It's like his car just fell off the cliff and he didn't have any front tires anymore. And it just set off that chain reaction, which we got the short end of.
Glad you're okay. Big shame for this team from Texas, guys. AJ Foyt Racing no longer in it with the 14 car.
And you see Joseph Newgarden there with cars whizzing by. That's because he has been penalized for avoidable contact. He's going to the back of the lead lap cars.
That's a shame for Newgarden because Bourdais really confirmed what Newgarden's defense was. Hey, everybody checked up in front of me, which Bourdais just admitted he wasn't sure what Colton was doing, why Colton was so slow, if the balance had just gone away. And unfortunately, with the accordion effect, as you see Rossi.
Well, Rossi's been one of the big beneficiaries of all of that. So too is Scott McLaughlin, Tony Kanaan, and Pietro Fittipaldi as we're getting ready to come back to green. Look at this restart from Dixon.
Green,
he is
green,
gone. Herder's looking at Palou for that second spot. And Rossi tries to go and move on Jack Harvey.
Rossi's ready to rock and roll now. He can smell blood in the water. He knows he's got a chance now that he can challenge Dixon for the win. He's ahead of Newgarden now by a long way. He can get himself back in the championship as Colton Herder looks inside. Cars trying to go too wide down a turn.
By the way, I told you earlier that Tony Kanaan would be a factor. He has just leapfrogged his way around Rinus VeeKay. Here comes TK.
Kanaan with an outside look on Scott McLaughlin. He decides to back out, tuck back into the groove. I thought he was going to go big there. Kanaan using a little more discretion.
Tony Kanaan is the king of cold tires on ovals as we got Rosenquist down the inside of Pietro Fittipaldi.
Now we've got some action.
Well, restarts at Texas are a critical opportunity to make moves happen because it gets strung out pretty quick, especially with this 1.5 groove wide racetrack with that PJ1 that seems to be undrivable up top. Everybody slots in after a couple laps. If you're going to make something happen, you got to do it right off the green.
Will Powers kind of sliding there through the corner. He lost a lot of ground, goes straight to the inside to block the inside as Pato O'Ward looking both sides for a way by. Powers' car again not good off the corner. Look at Pato O'Ward, goes for the high side. He might get this. Nobody backs out early.
Will Power knows, hey, you might have a run, but you're going to have to earn it where the grip just isn't up high.
You're going to make you go around the long way. How about Texas Motor Speedway being your first oval race in your IndyCar career? That's the scenario for this man here in the PPG Chevy, Scott McLaughlin, the 3-time Aussie Supercar champion. Well, it's kind of like welcome to the top 10, Scotty Mack, because he finished 14th at Barber, 11th last weekend at St. Petersburg. Now he's in the thick of it, behind Alexander Rossi, ahead of an Indy 500 winner and an IndyCar champion in Tony Kanaan.
And I'm sure Tony Kanaan's licking his chops, Paul, as he sees his two teammates with Dixon and Palou leading first and second. I'm sure Kanaan's thinking, if I can just make a couple of moves, it's going to be a 1-2-3 Ganassi run here.
And right now, the only Penske in the top 10. His teammates are all down in the teens.
Remember, guys, he's the only rookie who is running the ovals this year. Grosjean is not, Jimmy Johnson is not, and Scott has such a cool, calm, measured approach to everything. Yeah, he's fierce on the track, but he took the test here just, in stride, knew that the laps here were going to be so important to him, and he looks like almost like a veteran at TMS now.
He's tailing right on the back of an Indy 500 winner, Townsend, and arguably Rossi is one of the best oval drivers there is on the circuit.
Have to see how the two Andretti team cars of Herta, Harvey, which they have an association with Andretti and Rossi, how do they hang on? If Colton Herta was struggling that much at the end of the first stint, I would think that in another 15 or 20 laps, it's going to be a handful.
Tell you what, Lee, Harvey's doing a heck of a job. We haven't shown him much tonight, but he's been hanging right there. He started up front because of the rain out, and he stayed up front.
PT, you took the words out of my mouth. It is an outstanding drive by Jack Harvey in that Auto Nation Sirius XM Honda for Meyer Shank Racing. Phenomenal. Because this time last year when Jack Harvey raced at TMS for the first time ever in an IndyCar, it was baby steps. He took his time, he didn't really have great pace, he ended up finishing 16th. But the way that it started pretty steady. to say the least. Now Jack Harvey's running in 4th, and as far as the championship point scenario would go, Harvey would be in 4th in the championship points as he runs right now. Marty, that is phenomenal.
Outstanding for this race team. And talking to Mike Shank, the co-owner of this race team, he said our whole goal is to get to Indianapolis for the GP top 7 in the championship standings. Lee, as you mentioned, they'd be 4th right now. But to keep it in perspective, this young driver from the UK, he said, I just did not know ovals at all when I came to IndyCar. Just his 8th ever oval race, and for him to be performing like this, he told me earlier today, a top 10 would be a thrill for us. Here they are running in the top 4.
Oh, look at him shadowing last weekend's winner, Colton Herta. The Meyer Shank team does have a technical alliance with Andretti Autosport, so they're kind of sister cars in a way. There's 1, 2, 3 of them in a row there. Jack Harvey running well. The Auto Nation onboard gives us this view of 2016 Indy 500 winner Alexander Rossi, who's up 11 positions from his starting spot, aided by that caution coming out, as were several other drivers as well, like Tony Kanaan and Scott McLaughlin and Ed Jones. But he'll take it because he needs it in the big picture of the championship. So Rossi running well in the top 5 right now. So the man you often hear on the radio to Alexander Rossi is Rob Edwards. We've got a little spy cam down there at Andretti Autosport at the Napa pit.
67 complete, so it's just under 1/3 distance. How's weather look? I think we'll finish dry unless something changes. I think we'll get race should end about 7:45, rain maybe at 8:15. 10-4.
Like an air traffic controller, Rob Edwards giving critical information to the pilot. And he's been around a long time, Paul, one of the best in the business. I got to think he knows exactly what's going on.
Well, they've certainly done the strategy right by staying out. They got good tire wear, whereas conversely, his teammate Colton Herta is already complaining about the tires, that he's got a vibration again, and we're only a handful of laps into this stint. So right now, Rossi's hands, just looking at them, they look nice and quiet. Townsend not too much ill handling going on. There's not a lot of movement back and forth in the steering wheel. He's just content to kind of ride this out a little bit.
Speaking of Rob Edwards,
the left front is just starting to vibrate, so think about taking some weight off the left front.
That's Jeremy Millis, the race engineer for Alexander Rossi, also on the radio. So he's seen on the data just a slight vibration, so he's suggesting take a little weight off the front. See Rossi go down and stiffen the rear roll bar. He did it once. That's the second move. There's 6 positions for the anti-roll bar in the rear. There you see Jeremy Millis, far right.
Pick 3, pick 3.
You know, Andretti Autosport had to wait to the 11th race of the season last year before its first victory, the hands of Colton Herta. We've only had 2 races and they've already been victorious. Rob Edwards told me last weekend, he said, what we did is we just had to fix a few things. And I said, what was that? Procedures, personnel, what was it? He said, a little bit of everything, really. We had to kind of get our ducks in a row, so to speak, within the organization. And then things started to flow better. And we want to start the year how we finished the year last year, and they have.
So when his engineer says they want to take a little bit of weight off the front corner, that the inside tire, he's probably running Townsend some left front weight on the car. You can adjust. There's a weight jacker on the steering wheel. You hold that button and it can transfer the weight by moving the ride height over to the right front tire. So they want to move that weight around to just try to take a little bit of pressure off that inside tire.
Left hand is controlling the rear roll bar. Right hand's controlling the front roll bar. There's an adjustment from Rossi. And then with his thumbs, he'll adjust the weight jacker on the steering wheel because that's an electronically controlled device. The roll bars are mechanical connections.
So that's Alexander Rossi. This is Rinus VeeKay in the Sonax Chevrolet, the 20-year-old Dutch driver. VeeKay sits in 12th at the moment, and this is what happened to him just a couple of moments ago. Wheel to wheel with Felix Rosenqvist. That was tight.
That was tight to quite tight. That one, Felix Rosenqvist was having some issues and sliding backwards, but that was a power move on VeeKay. he chopped the air right off of him.
Well, this is the only way to make this work without crashing by yourself is to cut across the nose and take the groove. You can hear the spotter enthusiastically cheerleading on his driver. There's just no way to make that pass work unless you own the low lane right when you get by. You cannot afford to stay high.
The problem is for the guy on the low lane, they feel very disrespected when you pull the air off of a guy's car. It's kind of not a nice thing to do to another driver.
Nobody promised me respect.
Well, it's 1-1, if you wish, within the Arrow McLaren SP camp. Pato O'Ward beat Rosenquist at Barber. Rosenquist beat O'Ward last weekend at St. Petersburg. O'Ward is, I think he's about, 6 years younger than Felix, maybe 8 years younger than Felix. So there's a slight disparity in age, but they are both super driven young men and want to come out on that intra-team battle on top in this 2021 championship. We'll see how that works out, Marty.
Meanwhile, Colton Herta, you guys mentioned the tire issue that he had been talking about. He's mentioned it several times. Here's a radio conversation a moment ago.
Okay, I'm starting to get a vibration from the left front. If you can run in pink 4 without losing pace, we'd like to, but don't lose pace.
All right, that was 16 laps ago, 16 laps into the run. Since then, Simon Pagenaud has said, I have a vibration and I'm barely hanging on. So I get it, Townsend, your strategist is telling you hang on, and it's great to hear Brian Herta telling Colton Herta that, but 225 into turn 1 at Texas, I mean, that's a lot to hang on when you have a vibration and these tires recording.
It's interesting how different the feedback is on the same race team. So Brian Herta's talking about running a lean fuel mixture with Colton, but don't lose pace. Whereas on the 27 car of Alexander Rossi, Paul, the stand is giving him setup feedback on how to make the adjustments in the car to help the vibration.
Yeah, certainly a lot more information for Rossi on how to deal with maintaining the tires for a longer run on them.
We're going to step away from Texas Motor Speedway for a moment. When we come back, we'll be into the second half. So if this race is weather affected, we're good. After another 55-lap stint, Pato O'Ward in the Arrow McLaren SP Chevy is in, Marty.
On the very early end of the window, Pato O'Ward, one of those drivers talking about a vibration, also said he had so much understeer he could not make it work in 1 and 2 or in 3 and 4. So we'll see if Pato, with these fresh Firestones and quicker lap time, will drag everybody else to pit road.
Not a bad way to go unless the yellow comes out. He might be outside of that window, Paul, of staying just 1 lap down. He could go 2 laps down if they luck out on the yellow. But I like the strategy there. You know, if you can get clean air, get some pace, you can really make up some ground on the sequence.
This is the Genesys 300. It's round 3 of the 2021 NTT IndyCar Series here at Texas Motor Speedway. It's the first race in a double-header weekend here in Fort Worth. And you're looking at Scott Dixon, a 4-time winner here, and the defending race winner. He has got this place dialed in and has led 111 laps of the 113 thus far. His younger teammate, his new teammate right there in that bright blue NTT Data Honda, who has been shadowing him for the majority of the race, led those first couple of laps. Now this is a huge night of motor racing on NBCSN, because when we're done here in Texas, we're going to send you over to the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael, and Todd Harris, and Will Christian, and Daniel Blair for the season finale of Monster Energy AMA Supercross, where 3 champions will be crowned, the East and West Coast 250 champions, and the 450 champion, who will more than likely be Cooper Webb. That will be Coop's 2nd championship in 3 years. Pretty good, Townsend.
Oh, it's been an awesome season. I love the way Cooper Webb approaches his racing, does it all, does all the talking on the track with his riding. And Ken Roxon's been right there, been competitive, and a lot of great stories, including Malcolm Stewart up on the podium now. Pagenaud in the 22 Menards car comes to pit lane. Coming towards Marty along with Team Penske teammate Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, I think these Team Penske guys who are so far behind the leader are going to come, and they are pitted right in front of each other. You see Newgarden work carefully around Simon Pagenaud's guys, and then Simon Pagenaud's strategist Kyle Moyer told him, we're going to take a gamble here and come now. Their hope, these fresh Firestones, will pay off for everybody, and they'll be able to gain some lap time, hoping it cycles through, because they're clearly going to go 2 laps down. And also Rinus VeeKay coming down pit road as well, having a nice little run, and his car with too much understeer. Fresh Firestones on for the 21 as well.
Key now for these guys is going to be get out, get up to speed real quick, try to burn up some fast lap times, and hopefully jump ahead of the cars that were in front of you by putting down some fast laps. Pato O'Ward right here, back up to speed, and he is flying right now.
He is, but he's stuck in traffic right here. He's got to make quick work of Jack Harvey if he
Look
can.
at that. Look at the difference in new tires and old tires. He just waited in the corner and was easily able to drive by. So that shows you the power of brand new Firestones as we look, Dave, as the McLaren car's in.
Yes, it is. Felix Rosenquist on pit road. You see also it looks like Graham Rahal as well. Rosenquist with that nice avoidance earlier for fresh Firestone primaries and Speedway fuel, Marty.
Graham Rahal coming to a stop in the stall. You see that wind change for Graham. He said the car handled better. Also the vibration not as bad on that run, and corner exit was better, Dave.
Marcus Ericsson, the Swede, comes in, loves these ovals, never raced on them across the pond, but he gets to do it now. His embrace.
And we had a little technical issue there with Dave's mic. We'll resolve that as Marcus Ericsson is released. He's been having a very solid run, very impressive. Look out, here we go. The orange car is the Genesys Honda of James Hinchcliffe. The purple one, Pietro Fittipaldi. The red and black one, Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan slow off the corner. He's coming into pit lane. These guys are probably on fresh tires by now.
Kanaan on the button. Weight jacker adjustment as he comes to pit lane. He's going to brake at the last possible second on the radio, telling his guys, I'm coming to pit lane. And he's well down and, you know, started at the back, so his pit stops in the back, locks the left front as he comes to the back.
Foot on the brakes.
See all that brake dust coming out of the wheels, so they're using the brakes on the track.
You're all clear, you're all clear.
Great hit out for TK in the lead up to the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500 later this month. Here is Scott McLaughlin in the PPG Chevy for Team Penske. First oval race so far, going very well.
Just a little bit long on the box, about 4 or 5 inches, but a perfect stop. He's doing a perfect job tonight.
He was really excited about this race. He said, look, you know, road courses, street courses, that's nothing new. Everything in IndyCar is new for me, but I'm really intrigued and I'm excited about these ovals because it's something so totally new for me to learn.
Well, he told us that of all the tracks, he's most comfortable coming to Texas because he's had a chance to test here twice, so it feels familiar. He felt like he was on top of his game, and the action pretty fierce here. That's Herta and Rahal going at it.
Herta still on the old tires, has yet to pit, and you can see the difference right here, new tires to old tires. Watch Newgarden here.
Harvey's on pit road, so too Alexander Rossi. Those two were glued together, Marty, for a long time.
Yeah, the handling for Alexander Rossi much better on that run, so they got it right for him. Fresh sticker tires with Firestones going on for Rossi, and no changes. Meanwhile, up front, Jack Harvey having a terrific run, continuing up there in the 4th position. Nice stop for those guys, and Scott Dixon making it look easy. The maestro here at Texas Motor Speedway has led all but 3 laps to this point. No changes once again, just fresh sticker tires for Scott Dixon.
Super slow stop for Alexander Rossi. The outside rear guy had a problem getting the wheel on, and that was a long stop, so we'll see if he loses some positions on this pit stop exchange.
He had about 4 seconds over his teammate Alex Palou. Palou still on track, hasn't pitted yet. Herta's coming to pit lane. You see the pit indicator on the pylon on the left-hand side of the screen.
And boy, for a guy who said the tire started vibrating at lap 16 into this run, he went an additional 40 laps for Colton Herta. We'll check those Firestones, but the handling, pretty good, Dave.
Nice run into the top 10 for Ed Jones. He gives up that position now to come and pit the 18 car. The 18 has run well today. Jones embraces the ovals. Jimmy Vassar told me earlier today that they were down a little bit on aerodynamics, but they would fight it out, and they've done well so far. Meanwhile, on pit road, Will Power, driver of the 12 car, was last on pit road on lap 55 under caution. 4 fresh Firestones, and he's away, Marty.
So an interesting call by Barry Wanzer, who left Alex Palou out for 3 extra laps, did not pit with his teammate Scott Dixon. He's wound up leading 6 laps to this point, but we'll see when this blend happens. That's going to be the interesting part. Where is Dixon? Where will Palou come out? Because he was just a couple seconds behind Dixon on the track
And
before the set of stops.
That pit stop, Marty, looked a little quicker than what Dixon had. Here comes Dixon through the tri-oval into turn 1. Palou will be on the speed limiter and not very close. Palou's got to sit at 90 miles an hour on the second stage of pit speed and advantage Dixon, not a little, a lot.
Yeah, that's all about getting in the pit lane and
right
out
side.
of the pit lane
Right side clear
really
right there. Got another
quickly.
one.
This may enable Colton Herter to leapfrog his way into second place. When all this shakes out, we will see.
Look at how big the gap is here. It was 4 seconds between Dixon and Palou, and Dixon had kind of a slower stop. And now the gap is 7-8 seconds. And look at the cars that beat Palou on the exchange.
Almost a half a track lead now for Dixon over his teammate. Couple cars still at the pit. Fittipaldi running second. Rosenquist, McLaughlin still out there.
Paul Fittipaldi pitted on 129.
Yeah,
that's Pietro Fittipaldi is in second place. McLaughlin's in third. Palou's fallen to fourth. For Rosenquist and McLaughlin, they're right up there. And now Fittipaldi drops down. I made a mistake there. I saw an error on the data screen. So Fittipaldi has fallen back.
Been a nice run for him, though, Townsend. The youngster has done extremely well, and he's kept good pace with that 51 car. Has not pushed it. And the team told me that they practice on one set of tires, trying to save a little bit more, but he's done very well so far, keeping himself clean at Texas.
So I tell you who that stint did work out well for was Scott McLaughlin. He's rotated his way up into third. Rosenquist running second. Palou back to fourth. Ward Erickson Herder is over 9 seconds further back. And Jack Harvey's been shuffled back to 8th as well. Things getting interesting here in Texas. As vaccine eligibility expands across America, it's time to roll up your sleeves and make a plan to get vaccinated. Our personalized state-by-state guide has everything you need to help you prepare. The site is updated daily with an option to get custom alerts delivered to your inbox. Visit planyourvaccine.com or scan the QR code with your phone to be taken to the site. And we know that so many of you have already as we welcome you back to Texas Motor Speedway. Here are this evening's global medical response, the GMR track facts. And look at that, 21 different winners over the 32 races thus far. Does Scott Dixon kind of keep that the way it is and win back-to-back and win for a 5th time here? We will see. On board the Verizon Chevy with Will Power. Power is buried in this pack in 18th position.
Just right around with Alex Palou. Started up front on pole, but he went early to the Scott Dixon School of Texas Motor Speedway as Dixon launched the lead. But the young Spaniard in his 2nd season of IndyCar racing, learning really fast. Not just the ovals, but also took his first win this season at the opening race at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. Just take a ride here for half a lap and just listen to the technique. Probably a little breathe on the throttle down here in 3 and 4. Not at all, Paul. Wide open through 3 and 4, so that NTT data car handling super well.
Here we go, on board with Alexander Rossi. Season has started out not the way he wanted it to. He said only a championship will be acceptable. Right now, he's working his way back into the championship. Started further down in the pack. He's been up as high as 4th or 5th so far in this race. Right now, with this pit stop exchange and all the strategy going on, he's sitting just inside the top 10. We'll take a little ride with him.
145 complete, 67 to go. Connor's the next car in front. He's coming back to you pretty fast.
Just keep in mind the speeds that they are doing. In between 210, 220 miles per hour around this 1.5 mile Texas Motor Speedway. So Dixon leads over his old teammate Felix Rosenquist. Now Rosenquist is 7 laps adrift. There's the 2 cars, the 2 orange and blue cars. One's a Honda, one's a Chevy. Dixon with the Honda power and the PNC Bank machine for Chip Ganassi Racing. The Arrow McLaren SP Chevy, the Views car of Rosenqvist. But there's a 7-lap disparity between these two guys. Here's the Mission Food on board. Rosenqvist last pitted on lap 118. Dixon was lap 125. McLaughlin is closer to Dixon as far as pit stop strategy. Scott McLaughlin, who runs third, last pitted on lap 122. So only 3 adrift from Dixon. And then you got Pelot, who went those 3 laps extra, as Marty mentioned. And then Pato O'Ward, he last pitted on lap 110. So he's kind of massively adrift from these guys as far as his stop. Remember, we showed him coming in early. He pitted on lap 55, then on 110. So staying true there. We'll see what this third stint does for the 21-year-old Mexican, Marty.
And Lee, I think that's going to tip the hand to everybody here on pit road when you saw Joseph Newgarden pit early and go from 20th to 11th. Pato O'Ward pit early and go from 13th to 5th. So Taylor Kyle really kind of showed his hand, and I'm wondering on the next stops, which are quickly approaching, Townsend, if other teams might try that. Hey, let's pit earlier in the window, get those fresh Firestones on and turn some quick laps.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the teams that are up front probably stretch it because they've got more fuel in the bag and fresher tires. They've got more flexibility in their strategy. For other cars deeper down on the lead lap, I'm talking about cars like Rossi, Rahal, Newgarden, I think they might elect to use that strategy again, see if they can make it up on flat-out pace while Scott Dixon is trapped here in some traffic behind Hinchcliffe.
Look out, look out, look out. Rinus VeeKay and Tony Kanaan, that was ugly.
Good save by Rinus VeeKay. Tony Kanaan dove it in on the outside and took the air off of him. That's the second time that's happened to VeeKay tonight, as Ed Jones, who's having a great race, is moving up on the back of VeeKay. And look at how loose Ryan Hunter-Reay is. That thing is all over the place.
Cars shuffling here. Pagenaud in the Menards. Bright yellow car whips up the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. Pagenaud's in 16th. VeeKay's the next one on his list. Here we go. Does Pagenaud have a run on the youngster?
Hunter-Reay is hanging on for dear life. There could be a yellow Townsend brewing right now.
These guys are just starting to enter the window.
Coming hard.
Where they can make their last stop, and here's the spotter saying coming in and coming hard. Rinus VeeKay hanging on to his race car, ready to make that last stop and get fresh tires and try to get back up into the mix.
Check this out. Scott McLaughlin is all over Felix Rosenqvist here. There's first, there's second, there's third. Things are getting tight in the top 5.
This is the critical point of the race for Dixon, to be very patient. He's got 2 young guys behind him that are fighting for a great race.
Here we go.
He's just got to pick his way through as McLaughlin times it right, but Felix blocks the inside.
Things are getting tight in the top 3, and there's a guy in there in his very first oval. The Genesis 300 is under caution again. The Genesis Honda is into the wall. This is a hard end for James Hinchcliffe.
It's the exact scenario as last year, Townsend. Felix Rosenqvist in second place, fighting with James Hinchcliffe to lap him, and this time the roles were reversed. Hinchcliffe gets the air chopped off of him, and he lost the rear of the car and backed it into the wall.
Yeah, I haven't, I think you were spotting it out the window, Paul. I haven't seen the replay yet. Heavy contact to the left rear, left front there. Let's try to figure out what happened to the 29.
Gets a nice run on the outside, exactly like last year, but look, turns in, Hinch goes high in the PJ1, loses it, and hard into the wall, and that's a big impact. That car is going to be hard to fix for tomorrow.
Boom! 2 huge hits today. Sebastian Bourdais and James Hinchcliffe. Thankfully, the same outcome. Both drivers are okay.
Tough break for the Genesis car. This is their sponsored race too, so they've been a great addition to the series.
Let's take another look.
The AMR safety team will take good care of Hinch. We'll duck away while we're under caution. This is the view from Rosenqvist as he rounded Hinch up, and it was all over from that point for James.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway, potentially the final pit stops of the night. You see on the bottom of your screen, Scott Dixon comes in, but on the top, Felix Rosenqvist gives up second place. Third place, the Rook, number 3, Scott McLaughlin. He's already gone. What a great stop by Team Penske, Marty.
What a virtuoso performance by Scott Dixon on the track, and on pit road, the crew delivers as well. They hold serve, no changes once again to the 9 car, and a mad dash for everybody else off pit road.
Look out, Marcus Ericsson. No right rear wheel.
Going with the quick check here. Going with the quick check.
And this top 10 performance from Ericsson today has now gone away.
Tell you who's got a shot at the win now is Scott McLaughlin. Came off the pit road in P2, so he is right in the mix, and all of his teammates have really been struggling tonight.
How about Pato O'Ward up 2 spots?
Leave it on the quick check. Leave it on the quick check.
Motor's still running. They just need to get the right rear on and beat the pace car out. Pace car's coming off 4 right now. It's going to be close.
Yeah, that's not going on.
Oh,
look at that
boy.
wheel won't tighten up at all. Even the threads must be stripped on that on the hub, because it won't take the nut on it.
What a tough break for Marcus Ericsson. He has been driving brilliantly tonight here in Texas. He'll get another shot at it tomorrow night, but tonight's top 10 has gone. What a shame. And you want to know a little Supercross, Motocross, IndyCar crossover? And Chip Ganassi, one of the best competitors on 2 wheels or 4 you've ever met. Wardy, Jeff Ward, won here at Texas Motor Speedway for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2002. He's in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame, the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. Jeff, if you're watching, we haven't forgotten your incredible accomplishments, mate. You are one of the best ever. And I know you'll be watching the Supercross finale tonight as well. So we are coming to the end of our second full course caution, and the reason why was a heavy collision suffered by James Hinchcliffe. Here he is.
James Hinchcliffe out of the infield care center, and boy, did that look like the wreck here in 2020, but the opposite when Felix Rosenqvist went into the wall. What was your take on the contact there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were struggling really bad with vibrations, and we were just hanging on, trying to stay on that lead lap, and I honestly didn't know that Felix was running up there. I thought we were maybe for position, so he got on the outside of 1, just came down, took the air away, and we just had no grip, so got up into the gray stuff, and you know, that second lane's just undrivable. It's really unfortunate, but I feel gutted for the Genesys guys. You know, it's a Genesys 300 and we're out of the race, but we had a better car than that, you know, on our own. I think if we'd been able to qualify, we'd have started a lot higher and hopefully been running a lot better, but just nature of this track at the minute, you can't go anywhere. Like I said, gutted for the guys. I got to fix this thing and try and come back stronger tomorrow.
James, you mentioned it. How difficult is it for you drivers to hang on to it? Because literally every driver in the field's talking about vibrations. Yeah,
honestly, it's amazing once the vibrations start how quickly you lose grip. I mean, it was front end, back end. We were losing grip globally on the car, so it was unfortunate. You're trying to just delay that into the start of the stint, or as long in the stint as you could before that would kick in. But you know, unfortunately, we were kind of getting them some stints early, some stints a bit later. But once it happened, you were sort of just hanging on. You were sort of handcuffed with your tools. But you know, it's the same for a lot of guys, like you say. And unfortunately, with our track position that we had, we were just sort of hanging on.
Good to see that Hinch is okay, and now the guys go to work getting the car ready for tomorrow in the doubleheader.
Kind of a strange scenario to think back to last year, 2020 Texas edition. Felix Rosenqvist was the one in traffic. That's Marco Andretti in the white car. Hinchcliffe slides up a bit. Rosenqvist is the one that gets up on the slippery PJ1 section. He ends up in the wall. It's kind of a bizarre irony that the tables just perfectly flipped this year, and it's Hinchcliffe losing it behind Rosenqvist. Let's take a look again just to remind you the role reversal. Rosenqvist to the outside, chops down across Hinch. Hinch has to slide up and then just loses it. Freakish the way that works out year over year.
Crazy. Here it is from Rosenqvist's view.
Inside, clear, clear, nice job.
As soon as you get up into that black part of the track, you are just a passenger. But down to everybody talking about vibration. You know, I haven't heard one word about vibration, and that's Scott Dixon, because he's been out front, just been able to control the pace and run his own race. He's not trying to dive into the corner and on anybody, and we haven't heard anything about vibration from Scott Dixon.
Well, we've heard it from Colton Herta, we've heard it from other drivers. Scott Dixon's also raced here, Paul, 21 times, and he knows when things get tough, You got to just deal sometimes.
So, guys, let's document here, because now that we've got everything set ready for the restart, let's document what happened to Felix Rosenqvist, because he was up there. Look what happened. He had to avoid Ericsson, go on the grass, slowish stop, and that didn't help either. And that cost him big time.
Fell way back.
But we're coming to 1 to go at the line here. Coming to 1 to go at the line.
Went second place
everything
down
where
to
we
12.
want it. Temps up, all that good stuff.
It's going to be pretty awesome, guys. Saturday night, Texas, 40 laps to go. No worries on fuel for any of these cars. It is full send mode. Use up the rubber that you have. You don't need to save it for anything.
Look, this is very heady stuff for Scott McLaughlin. Yes, he's a Bathurst winner. Yes, he's a 3-time Supercars champion. But Scott Dixon was one of his heroes. He has grown up dreaming about racing in America. The two New Zealanders are running 1 and 2. This is stuff that dreams are made of for the rookie Scott McLaughlin. Looking at one of his racing heroes, and now he's racing him for the win in the Genesys 300. With 39 laps to go, we're coming to green. Could the rookie produce an amazing upset to beat Dixon and win in his debut performance on an oval? That would be something to remember for a long, long time.
Race cars off, ready.
He's got a 21-year-old Mexican right behind him who's feeling pretty racy as well.
Ready, green,
Let's
green,
go back to green here in Texas. Dixon sees it first. Watch that third car, Pato Award. He's working on McLaughlin.
He got a big restart, and he is right up there now, Townsend, in the points. He's jumped up into the top 5, so he has recovered tonight. But the guy who's also recovered is Joseph Newgarden, is now coming up through the field, and they're spreading out all over the place.
It is fierce back there in the final 7, 8, 9, 10 positions here for the top 10. All these drivers desperate for their first win of the season. Harvey, Newgarden, Rahal, Sato, Rossi.
That guy's going to touch Harvey wheel to wheel with the champ.
Can he hang on? Harvey keeps it low. Nice work. Good pass from Newgarden.
This is a big...
Oh! Sato on the inside.
That was a monster
Or was it
block.
Rahal? It was Graham Rahal in the Fleet Costin Care Honda.
That was a very defensive move from Harvey, and Rahal said, I'll take your defensive move and take you one step further all the way to the apron.
Now, Rahal said, what the heck is he thinking? That was a dangerous move.
Dixon, McLaughlin, Award, Palou and Herter, it's the top 5. Newgarden up, Rahal up. Harvey's dropped to 8th. Rossi and Sato round out the 10. First, second, third, and fourth.
Things now are starting to just settle down now. It was wild there on the restart on fresh tires. Will Power has just had an off night tonight. He started up front, and it just kind of fell backwards and stayed there all night.
There's the 2016 winner, Graham Rahal. He's not out of this. He's only 2.7 seconds off Scott Dixon with 35 laps to go.
Got a nice run here, has to back off. Got to time this exactly right. It's all got to be set up from this point in the corner and then get the run all the way around 3 and 4. You've got to complete that pass, Townsend, before you get to turn 1.
Yeah, you have to be very strategic. This is playing chess with high stakes at 220 miles an hour as Graham Rahal drafts up on Newgarden, goes to the high side.
He's not afraid to send it.
He's going to have to chop him.
Still there, clear.
Rahal.
That was all set up from turn 1. He got to set it up, drafted down the back straightaway, and had a really good run through 3 and 4. That was textbook pass at Texas.
Let me tell you a story about Graham Rahal. When he won here in 2016, it was the day his grandmother sadly passed away. There was a further story to the deal. His grandmother had quite a significant jewelry collection. It went missing. They were the victims of a theft. That was about, well, what? That was 2016, so it was 5 years ago. Do you know when some of those jewels were returned? This week.
Wow.
Graham said it could be a sign I might do it for Grandma again tonight.
Well, you talk about having the bit between your teeth. Let's take a look at this replay with Jack Harvey with Graham Rahal just a few laps ago. Harvey defending. Now you go below the apron on the backstretch. You better hope you can get back above it because you have 24 degrees of banking that you need to get through turn 3. Let's watch on board here with Graham. Oh, that was close.
I think they may have a chat after the race.
Well, and Harvey doing a solid for Graham to allow him to get back above the white line, because that could have been dicey. And then watch how aggressive Graham knows he needs to be to get down below that darker PJ1 section in turn 1.
So we hear the 60 is under review for that block. It was a very aggressive block, and IndyCar is looking at that right now.
Rahal has got within 0.6 of a second closer to the leader. So from Dixon in first to Rahal in sixth is now just 2.2 seconds. He is flying in this Fleet Costin Care Honda.
That'd be a big blow to Harvey to get a blocking penalty, but I don't know at first glance, Paul. I want to see this one more time so we can decide up here in the booth. I think that's proactive. Harvey is there early. Graham decides to continue and make the move. Graham pulled it off, but I'm going to say no blocking on Harvey. What do you see, Paul?
He certainly made the move first before Graham. You see, he comes down, and they're both kind of going together. We've just heard just now no action on the 60.
I will say that's about as close as you can get to action.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll take it. I think they made the right call there.
Dixon's got half a second over McLaughlin.
And at the same time, I can understand Rahal's frustration.
A second place finish, though, for McLaughlin would be like a win, Lee. He'd be over the moon with that.
Especially on his first oval. Harvey continues in the AutoNation Sirius XM Meyer Shank Honda. There's the gap first to second. McLaughlin's not letting him get away.
If I'm spotting for McLaughlin, I'm going to remind him, save your tires. Remember, Dixon's going to catch lap traffic in about another 10 to 15 laps. That's when McLaughlin's going to have an opportunity.
26 laps to go. Pato O'Ward doing a superb job in third. He was running back as far as 13th at one stage in this race. So that's a tremendous climb back from the young Mexican. This is as good as a home race, by the way. Spent a lot of his early years in life in San Antonio, going to high school in San Antonio. So this is like a home race for Pato, Dave.
So for the second place runner, Scott McLaughlin, the 27-year-old from Christchurch, New Zealand. Before the season started, he was asked about expectations. He said, I probably won't be able to hold back with my competitive nature, trying to beat my teammates every week, let alone win a race. But he said, I'm being realistic. I think I can keep their pace. We'll just have to see what happens. And he's been such a cool, calm character throughout his supercar career. He's showing it here tonight. He's got a car that could win if he can just get a decent run on Dixon, Marty.
Dave, 24 to go, about to be 23, and Scott Dixon staring at his 5th Texas win. I asked him earlier, I said, what makes you so good at this racetrack? He said, you know, I used to not like this place, but when they changed things a little bit here, and we started racing more and being able to lift more and saving tires, that's my wheelhouse. Being able to run around here, save tires and know. And Colton Herta has some issues, guys.
Okay, come in here, nice. Just take it easy. Be careful.
Voice of Brian Herta, his father, just saying, be careful, bring it in.
Outside rear looks a little bit bent, or it's flat. I think he might have just crushed the wall.
That thing's cambered too much to the outside.
That's elevated Graham Rahal up to the top 5. Joseph Newgarden up to 6th. Harvey 7th. They all move up a position. And Simon Pagenaud now comes into the top 10 courtesy of that. What a shame, Marty, for the St. Pete winner.
Yeah, they had such a terrific week last week, leading all but 3 laps at St. Pete. And then today, a moment ago, Colton said, I think it's the brakes, and that the brakes may have overheated something.
Yeah, something's
inside
on
the
fire.
car. Yeah, so he said he thought it was the brakes. And remember earlier today, he had no brakes in that first practice session. So they are, it's on fire in the right rear. So Colton may have diagnosed that correct. They're putting out the fire now. So clearly a brake issue. That's what Colton Herta has diagnosed it as.
Yeah, you're really not using the brakes anymore now when these kind of speeds are running, Townsend. So that's really odd. Maybe the brake line broke on the caliper and it's got oil all over the brakes, but that is an odd thing to happen on an oval.
Sometimes you get a piece of debris maybe stuck between the rotor and the brake pads inside the caliper and start generating tremendous friction. Let's not forget, a couple years ago at Indy, I think it was James Davison. His right front brake exploded early on at Indy, so they'll have to diagnose that further, but tough break for Colton Herta. Was having a decent night.
Lee, remember when we were talking to John Buslag, who's McLaughlin's team manager, and he said just a couple months ago that McLaughlin's first test here at Texas, he came on the radio and he screamed in joy because he passed his first car on an oval. Remember that? And now he's in a position against Scott Dixon and maybe winning this race.
Heading for his first podium if he can hang in there with 18 to go. Look, the thing about McLaughlin is if you talk to, you can start right at the top, Roger Penske, anybody who's handled him here on the IndyCar front, but then if you talk to Dick Johnson, the Australian motor racing legend, or Gary Rogers, the guy who gave him his big break in supercars, they will tell you that this guy is one of the most competitive individuals you could ever meet, but he tempers that competitiveness with really good sensibility and intelligence. He won't take any silly risks, silly moves, and he's just going to let this come to him. He wants to be here and stay here in America in IndyCar for a long time. He's not about to do something foolish.
Well, he is trying some things. He did try going to 4th gear in turns 1 and 2 right here. Does not seem to have improved his situation against Dixon. He was reminded by boost log, though, remember the wash when you get close, that air that comes off of Dixon's car. That can cause havoc, too.
Well, this is a big day for the 3 in the points. He's now up to 7th right now as they run, and Pato O'Ward is slid up to 5th, and we have Colton Herta now in the pit lane.
Yeah, PT, and for a guy who won last week, going to be out early today. Any idea what it was, Colton?
It was something with the right rear brakes. They were way too hot. And must have distorted or melted something on the right rear, because as soon as I went through 1 and 2, thing just got super loose, and that was it. Something's broken. Definitely caused by the brakes, but I don't know exactly what happened.
What a crazy swing for this team. Remember the first race of the year, they were one of the first cars out of that race. They win then at St. Pete, and then today they're going to be out early. As you look at the replay of the fires, he came to pit road. Yeah, that's clearly a brake issue.
Could be a wheel bearing too, because it looks like the brake duct panel on the wheel there, Townsend, is not completely lined up. So maybe the wheel bearing started going bad. That's where all the load is, so causing a lot of heat. And then things just start to melt down.
Crazy. Fireworks, the wrong kind for the Gainbridge car as he goes behind the wall. Now I'm just watching with 13 laps to go. Where does Scott Dixon sit relative to the lap cars? They're about 16 seconds back, 24-second lap time, so about 8 seconds. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but there's Connor Daly. And there's Scott Dixon, so quite a bit of clean air, and we've seen this last year. Scott Dixon will actually manage the gap to McLaughlin, so he doesn't have to get to that lap car.
Yeah, he knows exactly how to pace a field, and that's why he's Scott Dixon, and he's a 6-time champion. And right now, leading the points and looking at a 7th.
I can't help but think about that crazy swing. Marty flagged it with Colton Herta, 22nd at Barber at the season opener to victory. And guess where he's going to finish tonight? 22nd.
Hey, Marty, just watching Dixon lead here once again at Texas, 11 to go. Scott Dixon really didn't like this place a few years ago, several years ago, when he first came to Texas about 20 years ago. You've talked a lot with Dixon about why he didn't like it and why he likes it now. Talk to us a little bit about that transition and mindset.
Yeah, this place just clicked for him eventually, and it was what we were saying a moment ago when they finally got to where they were racing, managing tires. Scott told me this afternoon, that's my wheelhouse, where we're kind of managing what we need to do during a run, actually saving tires early in a run to be good at the end of the run, and that's clearly been Scott Dixon's bailiwick here at Texas Motor Speedway, showing how good he is on old tires and how he can keep that constant speed throughout a run.
Well, he said in those early days his teammate was Thomas Scheckter, and he said Thomas was like a wild man, and he would pull moves off that I wasn't happy with because I wasn't comfortable on this track. And as time went on, and of course a win helps, you like a place, he said, I like the degradation factor. I like the way the track races the longer into a run, the way that the tires react with this track. And he said, I finally came to like it. And then I got that first win in 08, and I was off to the races, so to speak.
Oh, boy, I'm deja vu to last year. Dixon, I'm afraid, just kind of teasing McLaughlin here in terms of just allowing him to get close enough to where the turbulence is really bad, and that's allowing Dixon to not have to charge into lap traffic up ahead. And also, it's taking all the advantage away for any of the trailing cars.
Also, he's taking the air off the car behind him and making him use his tires harder, because it is harder to follow closely. You lose grip, you lose downforce, you wear the tires out more. Dixon right now just doing a masterful job of just pacing the field.
We want to say hello to everyone watching via Sky Sport in New Zealand. Boy, the country's going to go crazy to have a Kiwi 1-2. Dixon McLaughlin. That's going to happen, Marty, in 6 laps time.
Boy, it's looking good, and already Scott Dixon is working on his spotter, Robbie Fast. He's saying, hey, work on those lap cars in front of me. I don't want them to be a factor. If he can pull this off, it'll be win number 51. That'll put him within one of the great Mario Andretti, Lee.
Incredible. So many cool things happening here tonight in Texas. You've seen that graphic. The XBell 375 is going to happen at 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on NBCSN. This doubleheader, the second leg.
Hey, Diff, all of a sudden, just as soon as we don't think it's going to be an issue, Dalton Kellett up there starting to really slow down into the 25-second lap time. So Dixon, with 5 laps to go, starting to get pretty close to the 59 of Daly and the 4 of Dalton Kellett.
That gap has squished. That has come down considerably. So as we look, there's Kellett in the green white car, and the blue one is Connor Daly in the Gallagher Chevrolet. So 4 more is the call from Mike Hull, managing director at Chip Ganassi Racing and the strategist for Scott Dixon.
Big night tonight for Jack Harvey. He's now slid up into the top 5 in points, so this is like a hit and a home run for Jack Harvey as well.
That's huge. Alexander Rossi in 8th, Sato Pagano, they round out the top 10. There's Mike Hull and the boss, Chip Ganassi in the background. Do you know no driver has ever won back-to-back here at Texas Motor Speedway in the NTT IndyCar Series? Dixon's about to do that, right, but you know what? The younger of the 2 New Zealanders is not letting him get away. McLaughlin's as close as he's been to Dixon.
I'll tell you what, this isn't over yet. If he bobbles one tiny bit with the lap cars up front, McLaughlin can pounce.
2 more good laps, 2 laps.
2 laps, but at this point, at this distance, Dixon can already start to feel turbulent air from the lap cars. He's been up front for most of the night. He hasn't had to deal with this white flag.
1 more now, 1 lap.
1 to go, 1.5 miles for Dixon to get his 5th win here at Texas Motor Speedway. What a proud moment for him too, because he's impressed with McLaughlin, a fellow Kiwi, and to come home in a 1-2. He's got traffic is getting closer, but I don't think it's going to cause an issue. Connor Daly, he'll hang on there. Checkered flag at the ready. Scott Dixon wins back-to-back years and wins at Texas Motor Speedway for a 5th time.
Well done, Scott. Great job.
Incredible. And that makes 3 different winners.
Fantastic job, guys. Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
3 different winners in the first 3 races, and 2 of them drive for Chip Ganassi. Incredible. Palou wins the first race, Dixon wins the 3rd, and takes the lead of this championship.
18-point lead over his teammate. Will Power hangs on to 3rd in the championship, and Pato Award moved up a bunch just inside the top 4. Look at all that rubber on the track, Townsend. You wouldn't want to do a pit stop now and try to hustle around that warm-up lane.
It's like dragging my pinky through an Oreo pie.
How about that? McLaughlin gets his first career podium on his first career oval, and Pato Award will stand on the podium as well. So that now makes 19 seasons that Scott Dixon has won at least 1 race in. That is remarkable.
I mean, Paul, how are you going to beat this guy? 40 years old, still crushing it.
Well, and he's arguably one of the fittest guys out there as well. He is the standard of excellence in every category of what it takes to be a race driver.
Dixon driving to victory lane. He's familiar with that. His 51st career win. And we'll hear from Scott when we come back to Texas Motor Speedway. So we've got a little surprise for you with the championship finale tonight in Salt Lake City for Monster Energy AMA Supercross. We're going to get you there a little earlier. Half an hour of bonus coverage. So it was originally 10 o'clock, now 9:30 Eastern. Stay with us here on NBCSN for championship night in Supercross. All right, Marty, it's time to celebrate with a guy who is used to being in Victory Circle.
Man, Scott Dixon knows the way to this victory lane, that's for sure. Scott Dixon with another Texas win. You know, they named this Jimmy Johnson victory lane. I think they should maybe think about renaming it Scott Dixon victory lane. What do you think about that? Another great performance here, Scott.
Yeah, that would sound pretty awesome, but who doesn't love Texas, man? I love this place. Got the fire back here. You know, it was a bit of a crazy night for us, definitely very tense there at the end, and it was kind of cool to be racing a countryman, you know, for those last few laps, but they definitely turned up strong. But huge thanks to everybody at PNC, obviously Honda, proud to be powered by Honda, you know, especially when you get wins like that. But fifth win at Texas, maybe, was that? I think it was.
Fifth,
So
yeah.
that was pretty awesome. So big thanks to everybody on the team. I want to say hi to Emma and the kids that are in England too. So love you guys, miss you, and thanks, man. Thank you. That was cool.
I know with 6 to go, you told Robbie Fast, your spotter, hey, work on those lap cars, but how much were you watching the guy behind you, Scott McLaughlin, as the boss comes in, Chip Ganassi? How much were you watching McLaughlin behind you?
A lot. I have this little thing on the dash that tells me the gaps for cars. I probably need to take it off because it was like stressing me out more than anything. I kept looking down and looking in the mirror, and he was fast. You know, especially once you get Exeter 2. You know, it's just a big long straight all the way till you get to turn 1. So, especially as the conditions got cooler this evening, it was definitely a lot easier to go flat through 1 and 2. But definitely difficult conditions too, especially once you got into traffic. So it was definitely an interesting one, but we won, man. That's what counts.
As you look at the big picture, this is your 21st season. This now puts you 1 from Mario Andretti. Did you ever dream that when you came over here to race in IndyCar, Scott?
I never dreamed of that, man. I feel so lucky and so privileged to do what I do, and I feel so privileged to work with the people that I get to work with, you know, and this is a team effort. You know, it's not me, it's my family that, you know, helped me get here, to, you know, my wife and kids and everybody that's involved, you know, to make this possible. So this is what makes it worthwhile for everybody. And we're 1 away. It'd be great to tie tomorrow night if we can.
I'll tell you what, it would be interesting if he decided all of a sudden, Dave, to move to the state of Texas, because Scott Dixon certainly has this place mastered.
Wow, how about that, huh? So from victory lane to someone who sounded like he was in victory lane tonight, Scott McLaughlin, from the time the checkered flew, you were whooping it up with the team, man. How proud are you of second place today?
I've never been this bloody happy second. I'll give you the tip, but I'm really stoked for everyone at PPG and Chevy, and just couldn't quite get Scotty at the end there. But tell you what, it was bloody cool battling with one of my all-time favourite heroes, or what is my all-time hero, Scotty Dixon, and 2 Kiwis, 1 and 2 is fantastic. My mum and dad's watching at home, I know for sure, and unfortunately my wife Carly said if I go good this weekend, she was going to give me a slap across the face, and I went good. I'm sorry, babe, but yeah, that's how it is.
Did you have to, at times, snap out of it and get back to being professional Scott because you were chasing the other Scott?
Yeah, the last caution period, I was, you know, holy crap! I was looking at the crowd, and I was getting all excited, and oh man, I'm just so proud. We've done the work. I've worked really hard, you know, behind the scenes to make it feel good, and you know, we got some good strategy there by my team, and they put me in the position. I'm just happy to bring it home for them, and really proud, and yeah, just wish my family was here with me.
A couple things in the back of your mind you might have tried differently against Dixie?
I don't know. I was trying a little bit, but it's so hard, the dirty air. I was hoping like everything that was going to be maybe some traffic towards the end, and I could have had a run. I was really good through 3 and 4. I just couldn't get quite through 1 and 2, but I don't care, man. P2's good, and we'll get a win one day.
Maybe one of the best P2s we've seen in a long time. Scott McLaughlin, rookie, comes second at Texas Lee.
At his very first oval. What an incredible performance. Hey, and we want to take you inside Scotty Mac's world. Have a listen to this recent radio.
Great job, everybody. Awesome day. You're an IndyCar oval racer now. Oh, woo! Mum and Dad are listening on the radio at home. Love you guys. Woo!
Yeah, unfortunately, Scott's parents are watching from New Zealand because they couldn't be here due to COVID restrictions. So, and Scott's dad is kind of renowned for going a bit crazy on the couch while cheering his son on. So there would have been massive celebrations in the McLaughlin house in the early hours of the morning in New Zealand. Marty?
So cool to see, and I know another guy happy to be on the podium. That is Pato O'Ward. And how key was that call by Taylor Kyle, middle part of the race, to short pitch you earlier than everybody else? Is that how got you on the podium?
That was the call, man. I knew that we had such a fast car, especially by ourselves, and I knew we could get in clean air. We could really make up some track position. Just in the beginning, we were just very stuck in the train. It's very tough to pass. But man, what a great race car. We're ready for tomorrow. I want to thank Aero Electronics, Views, Team Chevy, and the Aero McLaren SP number 5 guys. This is a very good step in the right direction. There's a couple more positions that we want to get, but this should really put us tomorrow in a better starting position than what we started today.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me when I walked up, a step in the right direction. Do you mean in terms of ovals or overall, Pato?
In terms of, I think, ovals and overall. I mean, we bounced back after a pretty tough weekend in St. Pete, so we want to come back tomorrow and try to go better. and then roll into the month of May for Indy Road Course, and then the crown jewel of the schedule, baby.
So as you start digesting tonight, what will you think about for tomorrow? Everyone talked about the vibrations. Was that a concern for you at all throughout the race?
It was at the end. I didn't quite have anything for McLaughlin and Dixon. Congrats to those guys. They were very quick, but yeah, I just didn't really want to risk anything. I started getting a little wiggly, and we were just getting some temperature issues. So I just said, let's just take this, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what we got.
Tell you what, Dave, Dixon wins, but look at these other young guys here on the podium today.
How about that? Alex Palou, 10th, the 10 car was 4th today. You give up the points lead, but I think a successful day here at Texas.
Yeah, for sure. And
whoa, no, our bad.
Yeah, for sure, and we gave it to Scott, so it's not bad. It was a good day. I learned a lot. It was the first time in an oval that we finished in the top 5, which is good. We got all the laps. We got lots of running time behind the cars. And I think we were good. We just needed a bit more experience today to win. The car was good.
And early in the race, weren't you following Scott quite a bit? And what did you learn as you followed one of the best ever at Texas?
That he was faster than me. I was just playing with my tools and everything. I think if we were running without traffic, I could have got him or stay with him really close. But he gets the time when we get to traffic, when starts getting tough, and I struggle there, but I'll get there tomorrow. I think by the end of the race I was already there and confident, so yeah, looking forward for tomorrow for sure.
I know just because you didn't win, your competitiveness is not gone, and certainly the championship still well in sight for you.
Yeah, for sure. Top 4, P4, it's amazing. I didn't think before coming here that we would have been P4 now, so I'm just really, really happy. We have another shot tomorrow. Hopefully I can be on that victory lane. I saw that it looks crazy good, so tomorrow is going to be a better day for sure.
Yeah, the learning is fresh on his mind, Lee. He'll have another chance tomorrow evening right here.
What you got, Marty?
We're going to chat with Graham Rahal here, who started 13th today and winds up finishing 5th. He's kind of studying the finishing order, but there's a lot to unpack from this day for you. I want to go back to the Jack Harvey thing, where he ran you to the bottom of the racetrack. I heard you say that was a dangerous move. What was your take on all of that and why it might have happened?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Jack, but, we need to have a man-to-man talk about that. I think that he could see the run that I had was tremendous, and you were going to go by. You just don't need to risk anybody like that. And also it hurt him more, it kills your momentum. So the best thing to do is to kind of lift a little bit and fall in line. But, I understand he did the same thing to Alex or a similar thing on the front straight. So we need to have a discussion about it. I respect him a lot, but we need to talk about it for sure.
So is that a discussion with a race coming tomorrow you want to have tonight?
Well, we need to talk about it at some point over the next 12 hours. I think race control needs to too, because how's that not penalized? Let's be honest, that is what they teach us. You can't move in reaction, and particularly at 225 miles an hour. But anyway, I'm going to focus on the positives. We had a great run in the fleet cost and carry machine. Honda did a great job. The motor was fast. To go by Newgarden the way we did was awesome. I was trying to put on a good show for everybody. We passed a lot of guys the last restart, but I used her up a little bit too much, to try to get Palou at the end. So, tomorrow we'll have an even better shot.
I want to ask you about the pass on Newgarden, because you were the brave one who tried the outside of 1 and 2. Was any hesitation at all going in there and doing that?
I wanted him, man. I wanted him, so I was going to do it. I was going to try it as best I could. And, in the position I'm in, right now, we want to win races. We want to get to the front. We should have been in the front St. Pete. Yep. Can't imagine what the point scenario would look like if we were able to do that. But needless to say, here we are. We're fighting back. If we can have a good finish tomorrow, we can be right in the hunt here. So I'm super pleased with our team. The work that the guys put in. We did not have a good first stint, and that killed us, put us back to 20th. And for us to be able to work from 20th back forward, the strategy, was great, and the boys did a great job.
Yeah, he mentions it, Lee. They started 13th today, but they talked about how far back they fell in that first run, and to come back and finish 5th, an impressive day for Graham Rahal.
Oh, Rahal was exciting at the end there. That was really good stuff. Time now, though, for us to take a look at the Children's Miracle Network moment of the race, and no great surprise, it's going to be the winner, Mr. 5-time here at Texas, Scott Dixon, as he rounds up Alex Palou, his teammate. What a race by Scott. Well put together, well managed, well executed, and really did not put a wheel wrong to get back-to-back victories and his 5th win here at Texas Motor Speedway. That is the children's miracle moment of the race. Hey, who said Kiwis can't fly? They finished 1st and 2nd.
Brilliant job there, Paul. Pato Award coming home 3rd. Those are solid points. Alex Palou stays 2nd in the championship by virtue of finishing 4th there. But for so many of these guys, I mean, you got to go back to the hotel, back to the motorhome tonight, scratch your head and think, how are we going to beat Scott Dixon tomorrow night with the performance he put on today?
Big recovery for Newgarden. Got a drive-through penalty, or got a penalty for the contact, but the second page here, look at Will Power, struggled tonight. Ryan Hunter-Ray, these guys, that really hurt them in the championship points so far, but you got to look at Rossi as well. Another mediocre finish. This thing's not coming together right now in terms of putting it in the winner's circle.
And we spare a thought for James Hinchcliffe and Sebastian Bourdais with those 2 heavy impacts. And for their respective teams, AJ Foyt Racing and Andretti Autosport are going to have to work hard to get those cars ready for tomorrow. Another reminder coming up at the bottom of the hour. It is the season finale. It's championship night in Salt Lake City for Monster Energy Supercross. But we're not done yet here, Texas. We need to hear from some more drivers. There he is. 51 times an IndyCar race winner. Isn't that incredible? And there has been, fellas, some fluctuations in the points.
Yeah, a lot of shuffling around. Scott Dixon takes over the points lead, but Pato Award, good recovery. Jack Harvey slides up. Scott McLaughlin slides up. So a lot of action right there inside the top 10, Townsend.
Well, guys sliding up means that page 2 is going to show us guys sliding down. Look at Bourdais. That unfortunate incident with Newgarden drops him 7 places in the championship. Marcus Ericsson ended up with not such a great night. He was running decent for a while, but just didn't happen for him there in the end. So a lot of drivers further down the list. Some of these part-time, like Grosjean skipping the ovals, Jimmy Johnson and Tony Kanaan, had it going pretty well tonight, only doing the ovals with Ganassi.
Hey, guess what? Something we haven't spoken about. The weather. We got the race in. All 212 laps. And look at that. It's a beautiful evening, Marty. We were looking at that halfway point and we flew right by it.
We made it, and a terrific run in the process for Jack Harvey, who winds up finishing 7th. But let's talk about the few things that happened on the track, Jack. I know Alexander Rossi wasn't very happy. Michael Andretti came down to have a conversation on his behalf, and also Graham Rahal not very happy. So kind of walk us through both incidents from your point of view.
I mean, I think with Alexander, maybe I did squeeze him a little too much in the dogleg, so probably on me just to give him a smidge more room there for sure. Not sure why Graham's not happy. I mean, I think I'm well within my right to defend. Yeah, probably squeezed him a little too hard there for sure with Alexander, so I'll go and have a word with him about that. And I mean, I think Graham knows where I'm at if he wants to come and have a word. I think some of these guys sometimes, you know, so used to our car being part-time or whatever that they think they can just come by us anytime they want or whatever. And, you know, I mean, I moved first. You know, he still had room.
Graham said he wants to come have a chat tonight.
He knows where I am. I mean, at the end of the day, mate, we had a great run.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the number 60 All Nation Series XM Honda was, you know, flying tonight. You know, before the first yellow, we were running P3, so, you know, great day, lots to be happy about, try and improve tomorrow and just have another great day again.
Yeah, you touched on it right there. Is that kind of the difference of a guy who's newly kind of running in the top 3 or 5 like you guys are?
I mean, we're just working at it every weekend, mate. You know, we work really hard in the week. You know, we worked hard from St. Pete coming into Texas this weekend. Obviously, it'd be nice to have another good race tomorrow and just, you know, tick off this weekend as a success. I think it's such a huge improvement from where we were a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really awesome. And yeah, we just keep working at it. You know, I mean, that's all we're here to try and do. And yeah, I mean, definitely we'll go and chat with Alexander, make sure everything's clear for tomorrow, and after that, we'll just have a good day.
But you mentioned it, and for a guy who I talked to before the race said, man, I just don't have the oval experience. You sure didn't act like it today. That was an impressive run.
Well, I mean, you know, it's coming, mate. Every time we come on an oval, I feel, you know, a little bit more confident and whatnot, and you know, the team have been working really hard with me there to, you know, give me what I need to feel confident, but also stay in a realm that hopefully the car is quick in. So, yeah, mate, I mean, you know, the guys deserve as much of the credit for this as I do. You know, my spotter, Bob, you know, works really hard all night, but everyone at Meyershank Racing, you know, is really working hard just all the time to try and have these results. I mean, they're not just coming by, you know, rubbing a genie lamp or anything like that. You know, we're working hard to try and get them.
Nice finish for Jack Harvey. They
you.
wind up 7th, and as we saw a moment ago, Dave, 5th in the championship standings.
Well, one driver, Marty, who knows Texas Motor Speedway well, I think it was 22nd time for you this evening, my friend, and came home 11th with a whole race car and a chance to race again tomorrow night. How would you assess it?
It was a great night. I mean, we started with a little bit of trouble with the gearbox. I couldn't pull 6th gear for the entire first stint. Then, you know, we had a great pit stop. We're inside the top 7. We tried to gamble a little bit with the tires, staying out a little longer, and that cost us 6 positions. But, you know, the track position is so important. Starting that last and finishing 11, I can't complain. I can't thank Bryant enough for the opportunity. I think we made it exciting. Like I said, I mean, the team gave me a great car. I mean, look at Dixon, what he did, dominating the race. 206 laps led out of 212. Come on. Right. But, you know, hopefully tomorrow, that gave us some points for the championship. We'll start a little bit further ahead, and we'll try to get a top 5 tomorrow.
When Jimmy Johnson called you last fall and said, hey, we can get the partners involved, I think I can make this work, I need your help starting at Texas, did you envision a night like this?
No, I didn't even believe him when he said. I said, stop pranking me. You know, I know I'm the one that actually played pranks on people. But actually, Jimmy, really appreciate it. I took care of her. I brought her home. So tomorrow I'll do one more, and then it's up to you next week. But yeah, I couldn't. Definitely, it caught me by surprise. And then I feel like I'm a very lucky person. Look what I've done my entire career, and then get a call from one of my racing heroes, and Chip Ganassi Racing, one of the best teams in IndyCar, to give me an opportunity like this. I have no reason to complain.
All right, Marty, the former champion has another shot at it tomorrow night right here.
Let's chat with Alexander Rossi. Winds up 8th, and so we just talked to Jack Harvey. He said he's on his way up here to have a chat with you to apologize because he felt like he did not give you enough room. What was your take on that?
That is correct.
And you expect that conversation to go how?
Well, he's kind of a teammate, so we'll talk about it.
So when those things happen, Alex, are those conversations with teammates, even if they're kind of corporate teammates, different than it is with another person in the field?
Kind of. I mean, you always want to give your teammate, corporate teammate, whatever you want to call it, a bit of more room than you would someone else you're racing. But neither here nor there. I think it was a decent day for us. Starting 16th was always going to be difficult. I think we had the opportunity at the top 5. It's unfortunate what happened there at that last restart, though.
You were able to get some track position after that first kind of how everything flipped around when the caution came out. Were you thinking at that point, sitting there 5th, man, we have a shot to maybe contend with Dixon up here?
No. I think the Ganassi cars were strong all day, which seems to be kind of their status quo around here. So we need to really figure out, how to get this snap-ins ready on the better. Ultimately, I think, again, it was an okay day. I think this is such a track position race. Starting from 16th was always going to be difficult. Like you said on that first cycle there, you obviously want to go long and hope that the yellow comes because you lose so much time on the pit stops and the exchange with the 2-stage limiter. So that worked out well for us. And then, I think we had a 5th, 6th place car pace-wise. So it's a little unfortunate to come up short of that, but hey, we gained 1 spot in the championship, so we'll start 15th tomorrow.
There's a bright side, right? And
I guess.
So on the flip side of all that, you have a couple hours turnaround. You have to race tomorrow. How do teams figure out how to keep up with Scott Dixon or how to beat Scott Dixon tomorrow afternoon?
Well, he's going to start on pole, so that makes it hard. You just gotta chip away at it. I think ultimately our balance was really good in the middle part of the stint. Maybe our ultimate pace wasn't great, and the last 5 or 6 laps wasn't awesome, but I think in the middle we were okay. So we'll just fine tune it, and I don't think we go into tomorrow trying to win the race. We go into tomorrow and try and get in the top 5 and get out of here relatively unscathed and move on to Indy.
Alexander Rossi Lee, kind enough to hang around. He winds up with an 8th place finish in the first race here at Texas.
I like how Alex took a positive away from it, saying, hey, at least I moved up 1 position in the championship, and gets to do it all again, albeit for longer tomorrow, 36 laps longer in the 248-lap race tomorrow. Paul, I want to start with you first. That opening stanza of the race, it got into a rhythm. There were very few passes. and it was kind of like, this might be a long night. But after that first round of stops, things just lit up.
Well, it's always that way. It always starts out here, and you start in the daylight, and as the track starts to cool down and the tires get more grip and you get a little bit more downforce, things get more racy at the end. But we had a good race there at the end, and I was impressed. I'm impressed with what Jack Harvey said. He's bringing the hate, so he's not backing down to any of these guys, and I like that attitude.
He expects respect from the rest of the field. He's a front runner now, 5th in the championship for Jack Harvey, but for me, tonight was all about Scott Dixon. He controlled things right from the get-go. He got up front in clean air on his teammate Alex Palou and frankly just controlled the race from there. So could be a long night for some of these race engineers and some of these drivers that are going to stare at the ceiling trying to figure out what they need to do. I think what they need to do is come tomorrow night with an aggressive mindset that they want to be the ones that get to the front to control the race, because it was all Dixon today.
This grid is established and set for tomorrow afternoon's race by entrance points positions after the race that we have just witnessed and enjoyed. Poor old Marcus Ericsson with that hiccup on pit road. He'll be looking for some redemption, just like Ryan Hunter-Ray and many others after today's race. Well, it's given us so much to talk about, and a lot of guys learnt a lot. We heard that from Alex Palou and Scott McLaughlin. He'll be back ready to do it again tomorrow. We are almost finished here at Texas Motor Speedway, but guess who's just getting ready to get started? That's Monster Energy AMA Supercross. It's coming up. We're going to give you half an hour of bonus coverage. It's coming up in a matter of minutes. We'll take you to Salt Lake City. We'll finish up here from Texas next.
Wow, that was cool. Like so many in this sport, I got my start on 2 wheels, which makes me a Supercross fan for life. I'll never forget my first Anaheim. I know what we need to do now, Paul. Get across the street. I'm going to roll up to the bar, tune into Supercross, and order me one of those Tennessee Love Juices they serve.
Absolutely. Let's get out of here, beat the crowd, get to the hotel lobby bar, and crack open some cold ones, boys.
There it is. It's championship night in Salt Lake City for Monster Energy AMA Supercross. We're being spoiled today with the Kentucky Derby, the first round of this double-header weekend here that man there was victorious on, and we're going to get to do it again tomorrow from 5 p.m. Eastern right here on NBCSN with the X-Belt 375. Yeah, they've got to go for longer, so look out, and good luck to the AJ Foyt guys to get that repaired, and also Andretti Autosport for Hinch's car right here. So right now we're going to send you to Salt Lake City. It's championship night for Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Let's hear from the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael and Todd Harris. Todd, take it away.